Hi, third grade. Today we are going to look at Unit 1, Week 1, Day 4. We're on today. So we're going to start with our drill sounds warm up. Are you ready? Here we go. Repeat after me. A, apple, ah. E, ed, eh. I, itch, eh. O, octopus, ah. U, up, ah. Let's do a few consonants. B, bat, b. G, game, g. V, van, v. X, fox, x. We'll do a few digraphs. CH, chin, ch. CK, sock, k. And our newest one, our trigraph, TCH, catch, ch. Very good. Okay, behind me, you see that we have a new word of the day today. Before we even tap it and say the word, can you tell me a few things that you noticed about this word? What are some things that we've been learning in Fundations this year that this word has? Notice what it begins with. Is this a trigraph because it's 3 consonants together? No. Remember, trigraph, here's a trigraph, make one sound. But this is just a 3-letter blend at the beginning. Right? Okay, so we have a 3-letter blend at the beginning. We have a trigraph at the end. What else do we know about this word? It's a closed syllable. So this is a short vowel sound, right? And do we remember how we know? Look at the ending. How do we know this is a short vowel? Right, because TCH, catch, ch, only is allowed to come right after a short vowel. Excellent. Okay, if you have your notebook at home, your student notebook with a castle on the cover, we are going to take a moment and add our word of the day in your notebook. So go ahead to the vocabulary section and you will see, since our word starts with S, go to the first S section, which happens to be on page 75. Find that now? Okay, here is page 75. So notice we're not writing up here for the R. We're going right below it for the first S. I spelled my word stretch first, and then I went ahead and marked it. Notice at the beginning, the 3-letter blend, it gets 3 separate underlines, but the trigraph at the end gets 1 underlined. I put a breve above the short E, and I marked the syllable, scooped the syllable and marked it C for closed. Now we're going to get ready to go underneath to the next line and write the sentence. Okay, the sentence that I want you to write is, my dog will stretch when he wakes up. Remember, capital letter at the beginning. My dog will stretch when he wakes up. Pause the video and write that down. Okay, hopefully you've had an opportunity to write that sentence down on page 75 of your notebook. Here is where you can check your work. Did you remember the capital? Dog, check your B's and D's. Will stretch. Did you pick to put this TCH again? Remember, that's our word of the day. When he wakes up. And you'll notice that underneath the parts, we did scoop the sentence into meaningful phrases. So I would read the sentence by saying, my dog will stretch when he wakes up. Notice how I grouped those together. Pause the video if you need to finish writing this sentence on your page 75. Okay, let's do a quick practice with a few other words that we have. Let's tap this one together. Ready? Itch. Stitch. Can you think of a sentence for Stitch besides Lilo and Stitch? The doctor had to stitch my wound. Very good. Or I had to get a stitch on my finger. Those are both good ideas. Remember, TCH has to follow immediately after a short vowel. Okay, so this is a closed syllable. All right, let me get the next one ready. Okay, here's our next word. Let's tap it first. Ready? Go. B-E-N-C-H. Bench. I decided to sit on the bench in the park. Okay, notice we didn't end it with a TCH. Why? This is an important rule to know for Unit 1. Right, because it's not following a short vowel. This is actually a digraph blend, right? Okay, let me get one more word ready. Okay, here it is. Let's tap it. Go. Ch-I-K. Chick. The baby chick hatched from the egg. Notice again, we have a digraph, short vowel. So instead of putting this, like some friends today spelled it, you need to put the CK digraph at the end, because just like TCH, CK can only follow a short vowel. Very good. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is dictation composition book. So if you are at home and you have your composition book with you with the doctor on the front cover, that's the book you'll need. If you're at home and you do not have this book, please go get a piece of paper and a pencil ready to go. If you have your composition book, you're going to open up to page 2. Okay? Make sure that page 2 is at the bottom. And notice at the top where it says today's date, you can go ahead and write the date today. On the first line, you see 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to give you 4 sounds, and you are going to write the letters that correspond to those sounds. So get ready to pause the video so that you can write, and then press play to see if you are correct. Okay, your first sound that you're going to write on page 2, next to number 1 at the top, is ch. Say it. Ch. Pause the video and write what corresponds to that sound. Okay, look behind me. Hopefully you remembered both of these things. CH, the digraph, and our new trigraph, TCH, catch. Ch. Remember, if there's more than one, please place a comma in between to list them. Let's move over to number 2 at the top. Your next sound is k. Say it. K. Pause the video and write down all of the letters that correspond to the sound k. Okay, looking behind me. Hopefully you were able to remember C, K, and CK. So that one had 3. All right, scooch over to number 3 and listen to the sound G. Say it. G. Pause the video, write it, and then check it. Next to your letter 3, or number 3, you should have the letter G. Did you get it? G, game, G. All right, go ahead over to number 4 and listen to this sound. Eh. Say it. All right, write it down. Okay, what short vowel did you get that says eh? It's right behind me. Yes, E-ed, eh. Very good. All right, next on page 2, you're going to move down to the next row where it says review words. Okay, the first word next to number 1 that I want you to write is slash. Say it. Slash. Let's tap it first. Go. S-O-A-sh. Slash. Go ahead and write slash next to your number 1 and mark the word. Pause the video and let's see how you did. Okay, check behind me. Did you mark the blend, SL, at the beginning? Did you put it abbrev above the short ah sound? And then we have a digraph at the end. scoop it, and mark it C for a closed syllable word. All right, move next to the number 2, and your next word that you're writing is draft. Say it. Draft. Let's tap it. D-R-A-F-T. Draft. You must write a rough draft. Draft, then mark it and see how you did. Okay, I'll move my head in a second, but I wanted to point out to you, when you say draft, sometimes it does sound like draft, like a J, but it's not. So hopefully when we tapped it, you were able to hear that it's draft. Let's see how you did. Did you get the D and the R blend? The breve above the A, the FT blend at the end, and then marked it closed syllable? Okay, go to number 3. Here's your word. Next. Say it. Next. Let's tap it. Next. Next. Go ahead and write it after you pause the video. Okay, be careful with this one again. That x sound that you hear. Next. There's one letter in our alphabet that makes that x sound. There's no S in the word next, even though it might sound like it. Did you get it? Let's look. N-E-X-T. And when you mark next, did you put the breve? Did you put the underlines under the blend at the end? XT blend. Good. And it is a closed syllable. All right, scooch over to your number 4. Here's your word. Mix. Say it. Mix. Tap it. Mix. I had to mix the batter in the bowl. Go ahead and write it and mark it. Okay, hopefully you thought mix was a pretty easy one to spell. There are no blends, there are no digraphs, no digraph blends, no trigraphs. So the only thing you had to mark was the breve above the short I, and that it's a closed syllable. Okay? All right, go down to the next section, find the next number 1, and we're going to look at some current words. Now, these are words that we've been learning about. So maybe you'll have to decide, should I use CH for ch or TCH for ch? Or should I use K for k or CK for k? Okay, so these are ones we've been talking about in 3rd grade this year. Your first current word, we had some tough trick on this one, but you can do it. The word is squint. Say it. Squint. Tap it. Squint. Squint. I had to squint my eyes in the sun. Write it down next to your number 1. Mark it and see how you did. Okay, this was a tough one for us today. So I went ahead and spelled it for you first. Check your spelling. S-Q-U-I-N-T. And now it was really even more tricky to write or to mark this one up because we should know that QU is a buddy letter. So we actually went ahead and circled it. Sorry, my marker is not cooperating there. Okay, we circled the QU. And then we know that's a blend. It's SQ blend. The I is short, so we still need a breve. And then we have another NT blend at the end. Now, when we went to mark the syllable, I had somebody in class say, Mrs. D'Amico, that's not a closed syllable because closed syllables can only have one vowel. And we did talk about that. But remember, this U always has to be there for who? The Q, it's buddy, right? So it is still a closed syllable. It makes the short vowel sound and it's closed in after by a consonant or a blend. Okay, so it is still closed. Let's scooch over to number 2 and write this next word. Stuck. Say it. Stuck. Tap it. Stuck. I hope you don't get stuck on this one. Pause it, write it, mark it, and see how you did. Okay, hopefully for the k sound at the end, you remember to use our digraph CK because it's following what? A short vowel. That's the rule we've been talking about. Check out, did you remember the blend at the beginning? Okay, you put the breathe, and then remember for a digraph, it's just one underline. And this 2 is a closed syllable. All right, bump over to number 3. Your word is inch. Say it. Inch. Tap it. Inch. Inch. I had to use the inch side of my ruler. Give it a try. Okay, behind me, you'll see the word inch. And hopefully you marked the breathe above the short I. And we have a digraph blend. Some people forgot about the digraph blend and they only marked the CH digraph. So check yours at home and see if you remembered. This also is a closed syllable. All right, and now for number 4, the last one for current words. And your word is crutch. Say it. Crutch. Tap it with me. Go. K-r-a-ch. Crutch. I had to use a crutch when I broke my leg. All right, give it a try. Okay, here it is behind me. It is a CR blend at the beginning. Did you get it? It's not KR. Did you get the breathe above the And then I hope you finish this word using a trigraph because the ch sound comes right after that short vowel. And again, this is also a closed syllable. Very good. All right, boys and girls, go ahead down to the next number 1. This row is for some sound-alike words that we've been doing. So the first sound-alike words that we talked about were no and no. So since they sound alike, I'll show you here what I mean. Here are the 2 no's we've been learning. Okay, so what you're going to do is I'll give you a sentence and you're going to figure out which no I'm using in my sentence. All right, here's my sentence for that one. I do not know what to say. Which no did I just use in that sentence? I do not know what to say. Write it down next to your number 1 and we'll check it. Hopefully you figured out that no, I do not know something is K-N-O-W, right? All right, move over to number 2. The next sound-alike pair that we've been learning about this year is right and right. So let's remind you what those look like here. Okay, right and right. Here's my sentence. Are you ready? You have to write the right on near number 2. My sentence is, please write neatly on the paper. Write it down and check your answer. Okay, when I said please write it down on the paper neatly, I'm talking about this right, W-R-I-T-E. Did you get it? All right, go to the next row. Now we have some trick words coming up. So remember, trick words are words that we're not going to tap because they do not follow the rules of our language. You just have to practice them. The first word for trick words is should. You should know how to spell should. So go ahead and write should. Okay, check behind me. Did you spell it S-H-O-U-L-D? You should have. If not, give it a fix. And boys and girls, we do not need to mark these words, okay? We have one more trick word. So go to number 4, and your next trick word is have. Say it, have. I have so much to learn this school year. Have. Go ahead and write it. All right, check and see how you did. Did you spell have, H-A-V-E, have? Hopefully. All right, now give me a second to erase this. I'm only going to give you one sentence. So jump down to the next one, and you should be where it says sentences. Get ready to listen and write down the sentence I tell you. Okay, the sentence that I want you to write is, That was a big gust of wind. I'll say it one more time, and then I want you to pause it and write it. That was a big gust of wind. So if you're in your composition book, you should be down here now where it says sentences, writing next to this number 1. That was a big gust of wind. Go ahead. Okay, here's the sentence. Let's check your first word. Touch your first word at home. That. Did you spell it right? And did you start it with a capital letter at the beginning of your sentence? Hopefully. That was, how'd you do? W-A-S. A big, check your B's and D's, gust of, O-F, wind. Now at the end, you might see here, I chose to use an exclamation mark as my punctuation. You may have chosen to use just a period. It all depends how you're saying it. I'm envisioning that I'm at the beach and a big gust of wind blew and took my umbrella and turned it inside out. If that were the case, I would probably say this with more excitement. That was a big gust of wind. There's my exclamation mark, okay? Last thing we're going to do before you put your composition books away is we are going to scoop this sentence into nice phrases. That was a big gust of wind. I kind of say it like that. That was a big gust of wind. Sometimes you might scoop it differently. That was a big gust of wind. Sure, there are different ways to scoop. Just make sure that when you scoop at home, that your scoops make it sound natural when you read it. Okay? The last thing we did in Fundations today was I gave every student in my room a little practice cursive packet with the 3 loop letters that we've learned so far. So students traced the lowercase l and practiced. Then if you go to the next page, they traced the lowercase e at the top and practiced. And then finally, they traced the lowercase h and practice. I told them they could take this page home or work on it at dismissal or extra time to do all of the practice down below because it is good practice. But just a refresher at home, if you don't have this packet, that's okay. You can simply do these on a piece of paper. But to review lowercase l, remember all cursive letters start on the grass line. So L is, got to go on this side again. L is glide up to the skyline, loop back down to the grass line, and make a loop, or make a tail, sorry. Okay, so that's L. If you want to work on E, it's very similar, but except it only loops up to the plane line. So let's try it. Start at the grass line, glide up to the plane line, loop back down to the grass line, make a tail. Okay? And then the other one we learned is a lowercase h. This one was a little trickier, but it also starts on the grass line. The directions to make a lowercase h are start on the grass line, glide up to the skyline, loop back down to the grass line. Okay, then you're going to trace back up to the plane line, make a hump, and make a tail. Okay, so at home, you can practice those directions and work on those cursive letters on your own time. All right, 3rd grade, thanks for joining me. Have a great day.